And talking about stuff that's not happening or stuff that should be happening and it's not happening. Did you tell anybody about the podcast? Did you tell anybody about what they should be doing? I don't think you did. Nothing.
No, no. Welcome to the Scully Sez podcast.
Yes,
You want to
yes.
like, share, subscribe, comment, send hate mail. Um, we're on Spotify, Apple Music. Honestly, you could probably find us anywhere you're looking. Scully Sez podcast.
We're on Apple Music and all that? I didn't know that.
We're all over
or
the
Apple.
place.
I think Apple Podcasts, not Apple
Okay.
Music, but
We're moving up.
We're
moving up.
we're kind of like those people that when you walk your dog, you're supposed to have like a little bag to pick stuff up, But there's some people that don't do that, you see, and so that stuff is underfoot, and that's like us too. We're constantly underfoot. You see what I'm saying? We're all over the place. Yeah.
like gum on a sidewalk.
Yeah. Yes, like that too. And we're supposed to be talking about serious stuff, sir. And here you are just going off on a tangent, and it's not right, see? Because there are people that are hanging on every word, and there you are just, who knows what you're doing. And so, what's the topic today, sir, if you can remember?
I believe it's comparing welfare basically to kind of chattel slavery and some of the other elements
Yes.
of that.
Well, I think it was in 1964, there was a fellow by the name of Lyndon Johnson. And I don't particularly like Lyndon Johnson, you see. Never did like Lyndon Johnson. Although he did arrange for me to have an all-paid vacation to Southeast Asia. He did do that. Wonderful man he was.
Oh, boy.
But at the same time, you see, not only was he trying to do things for me, but he was trying to do things for other people, you see. And so what he did, he started this great new society. He got all this stuff through. Some people refer to it as welfare, and of course that's what it is. And so what it's going to do, you see, it's going to pull people out of poverty. And so we have paid trillions and trillions of dollars for this. We've paid more money for this program than we paid for all the wars we've been involved in. Yeah, much more. And so they say from 1964 into about 1974, it did raise the level up a little bit. And since about 1974 until the present year, there's been very little improvement. Very little improvement. And in fact, I would tend to say that we've gotten worse. And you can look at figures, but I don't think you have to look at figures. I think what you have to do is just open your eyes and take a look at our cities. Are our cities better today than they were 50 years ago? Now, I would suggest that they are not. Are the people in the cities better off today than they were 50 years ago? I suggest that they're not. Are the people in the cities safer today than they were 50 years ago? Again, I suggest that they're not. Do I think that the people in the cities, for the most part, a lot of them live in fear and they live in terrible circumstances? I think that's true. And I think it's getting worse. And I think a place right next door to us, Chicago, is perfect proof of that, where just crazy things are happening and people are just very discontent with their lot in life. Do you buy all that stuff?
I kind of do. I mean, I think that, honestly, even throughout this whole episode, I'm going to do my very best to not criticize anything about the system because I've never been on it, so I don't want to say or criticize anything about the users of the system because I don't know. I don't know that reality. That reality is so different from my own. I'll give, like, the individuals within that system, they're not the problem, right? The problem is the overarching system, as in most things, And I think what's crazy, kind of what you said, when you're comparing cities to before to now, I think that 30 years ago, 40 years ago, if you took someone my age and you were like, where are you from? And then, I'm from Hammond, but if someone's from Chicago, right? What they wear on their chest about being from Chicago, or even Hammond, honestly, is like, I am from a working class area. We're lunch pail and hard hat people. Even our sports teams represented. I mean, all of that. And nowadays, when you interview a guy on the Bulls, for example, who's been from Chicago, the first thing is these terrible circumstances you come from that get brought up. It's the how tough where your upbringing was, how tough your upbringing was. And for me, the thing is like, I don't know what that even means anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, does that just mean being tangentially around people who kill other people? Is that the only tough circumstances? Or is tough someone who grows up on a farm and their farm is failing and that's like what they have to, like they have to get up at 5 a.m. every single day, probably earlier, to, make their world work even though they're a kid maybe. Maybe they're working before school, going to school, coming home and working because their dad's hurt, because whatever. Is that tough? I don't know, but I would say that one of those two is a toughness that you can wear as an outward badge that does deserve respect, and the other one only has deserved respect in this like modern, very weird culture that has values completely out of whack. I mean, listen, why would it be something impressive? Like one of my favorite sports players is Antonio Brown. He always talks about being from Liberty City and how how it gets in Liberty City, and it's like, wouldn't you want to be the guy who says, like, it doesn't get like that in Liberty City anymore because I succeeded out of there? Like, why? What's the perpetuation of this negativity? Why does Chicago, instead of Chicago being like, you're tough because you guys make it through the cold, you work hard, you don't complain, you're always nice to people, why instead of that being the toughness that Chicago is it that people shoot drive-bys, shoot out of their cars at people and stuff like that? Why is that a thing that makes this is a city, attribute? Sorry, Collin, I said.
One thing I think that welfare definitely does is it keeps people in like a box, and it drives fear out of people to where they don't want to maybe help their community because they know a lot of people they don't want the help because they rely on stuff like the SNAP benefits and things like that. So a lot of people they don't want to drive to do better because they're scared, and if they don't have these benefits, maybe they'll have less food this month because they went to work. You know what I mean? So it's kind of it's a messed up system all around, and the cities being bad, I think that also can contribute to a lot of crime too, and a lot of glorifying of crime, like you were saying.
Well, sorry,
I was going to say that it's really what you have is chump change. That's what you have.
Right.
You don't have enough. It's enough to keep you going, but it's not enough that you can do much with it. And so you live in your little apartment and you're able to get some food. But the problem is you're afraid to get off it.
Yep.
You're afraid to get off it. And if you do get off it, you're going to be penalized.
Yep.
And so, what it does, this is the scary part, it controls you.
Right.
You're controlled. If you want to control somebody, you hold the carrot out in front of them and make them start chasing it, and that's what's happening with this welfare system. You perpetuate it, and you're afraid to get off it, and as a result, you're afraid to do something. You're afraid to get yourself a job. If you get yourself a job, you're off welfare, and
right.
And so that's a real problem as far as I could see.
It de-incentivizes development. You know? Why would you, if you're in that area, that's absolutely right. It's something I honestly, like I said, I didn't use the system, so I'm ignorant, but what you just said is so true. That's exactly it. Is like, okay, I'm getting this, whatever this sum of money is from the government, and now I'm going to go and also work my ass off so that I can add with that and build myself a future. Now you just lost the lump sum that was covering the food, covering whatever. And no one's out here acting like, this job market or this reality right now is cheap to exist in. It's not. It's hard. As many resources you can get, you need to get because it's difficult. But you're absolutely right. I mean, what happens if you get a job at the post office and you got 2 kids and you're on welfare? You're trying to do better for yourself. You're trying to create a world for yourself, and without that welfare money, you might not even have enough money to advance your lifestyle whatsoever. And then when you drop it and you just add your salary back in, maybe you make more, and it's probably better for you, but it does kind of, it really holds your back against the wall.
And what I want to ask is, why was it that the benefits stopped being beneficial to the general public after, I'd say, the 70s?
Uh, well, I think that's a good question. I think that initially, what happened was I don't think the effects were felt initially. So one of the things that happened was I believe with the minorities, particularly the black community, you had most of the families were run by had a husband and a wife, and over that period of time, they put in there were penalties for having a man on the premises.
Yeah, right, and like public housing and stuff like
Yes,
that.
and so you are incapable of getting welfare if you had
A working class man in the
yes,
home.
and so what happened was the man, by and large, left the family, and so you ended up with this one parent family, and that kind of perpetuated because and so
And that could probably lead up crime too, right?
it did because of course there was only one parent there, and it incentivized you to stay on welfare. And of course, if there was no other bread earner uh, on the family, you were kind of completely dependent on it. And as being dependent on it, you had nowhere else to go. And so, it's kind of a scary situation. I mean, to live in a to live in a substandard housing situation where you're frightened, where but you're just afraid to get off this system. It's just uh, and it makes you feel that the message it gives you is you are not as good
Yeah,
as other people. You're
right.
not as good. You need help, you see,
Hmm.
and so and it reinforces that. Here's a crazy thing. This is crazy. They have there's Michelle Obama has a podcast now. She's very bitter, very bitter. She says that the white folks are making her do all kinds of terrible things. And so and the reason I go there is because she went to Princeton, a place that most people would never get to. And then after she went to Princeton, she went to Harvard Law School. And so she's saying, and her husband, Barack, is saying the same thing. They're not sure whether or not they got there on their own merits or whether it was from affirmative action that they got there.
Hmm.
They're not sure. This is a guy that was president of the United States. This is a woman who was the first lady, and she's thinking to herself, she's not quite sure whether she measured up. Yeah,
They were the highest in their possible career. There's
yeah,
nothing better as a lawyer that you could ever be than the
yeah,
president and first lady of the United States. And
yes,
you're absolutely right. It seeds. I mean, obviously, Mimi probably sees a lot of this too. It plants the seed of self doubt of like you're not worth it in these people, and they're already a largely part of a marginalized community, anyways. So a lot of the social talk is about them. Oh, they need help, or oh, they need like one of the craziest things, acting like people who've been here for literally as long as we have been here need to integrate into our society. You hear that all the time. Well, how do we help black kids integrate into white schools? They've been here as long as us. We don't need to use that type of language, okay? Like, I get what they mean. They're trying to say, like, oh, the difference in culture, difference. Fine. If you've been in America for 300 years, you don't need to integrate. We don't need to act like there's some foreign entity or something here. You know what I mean? Like, we've integrated. In the 70s and the 60s and the 70s, this was not the collective thought, after the March on Washington and everything like that. And now, of course, I'm speaking from what I know from textbooks. Poppy, you might have more wisdom to shed here. But, like, in that time period, largely by the accounts that I've consumed, it's been kind of more like, of course there's racism, of course there's racial inequity, of course there's problems. I mean, they literally just got, civil rights through in 63 or 64. So, like, I get it. But also, it was much more of a, let's work together, let's build our family, let's do whatever. And then you have the welfare, where it doesn't allow the man to be in the household, and that's like the destabilization of the entire community. And what I was going to add to that, too, is, so dad can't be in the household. So if dad is going to be, like, even tangentially with the household, he can't be on the books. So now dad's kind of got to be like, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but kind of got to be a little slimy to, like, make it happen. You kind of got to figure out a weird way. You get jobs off the books. You get jobs off the books enough. Stuff can lead to slippery slope, blah, blah, blah. You understand how it goes. Crime can start from the top down right there, from that first generation where the guy is trying to figure out a way to provide for his family but not be on the books because then his family won't be provided for. And it's just this, like, it's pigeonholed. You know what I mean? You're kind of like, what are you supposed to do in that situation? I don't even blame a lot of the realities of it,
Yeah, I've talked to some coworkers that were on welfare and on benefits and stuff, public housing, stuff like that. They've even told me like having a new iPhone is questionable because they're going to ask you, where did you get the money for that and stuff like that. So it really does keep you like stuck, and people they don't want to see outside of that box because they don't know where to start, or they don't know what could happen. Life always throws you curveballs, right? So you could be doing good, and then boom, you're down on your butt again, and you need the food stamps, and then you're right stuck back in that box.
Right.
I see the welfare actually, when you say not integrating into society, welfare in many respects is preventing people from integrating into society because, again, it's giving you chump change, but it's allowing you to live in these substandard housing in these areas that other people don't want to live in, but you can't afford to live in it. And so you're kind of isolated, you're off by yourself, and you become kind of resentful because, of course, you know what your circumstances are, and your circumstances are not as good as those of other people. And the reason why your circumstances are not that good is because you're relying on this system that gives you the minimal amount of benefits. And it does two things. The resentment goes both ways. The resentment goes to the people that are receiving the benefits because it's really not enough. And then on the other hand, the resentment goes to the people that are providing the benefits because they're saying, why should we're out there working, why should we be providing the benefits to these people? So there's a lot of resentment going both ways. I like to use the analogy of basketball. You don't have a guy like Michael Jordan. You don't have that guy saying, "I need some help," and you don't see some. You don't want to say some poor white guy who's say 5'9" says, "Hey, I need some help. I need some help to get in this game." So let's put some weight on Michael Jordan's sneakers so he can't jump that high, and let's tie one hand behind his back, and then I'll be able to compete with him. Don't you see?
Right.
Well, of course, Michael Jordan, he would certainly resent that, and rightfully so. And the other guy, he would actually know that he doesn't deserve to be in the game anyway. Yeah.
Well, right, and that's actually a unique way of expressing it too, because it's like that's exactly it, right? Is what you have marginalized people who are on welfare who doubt whether or not they even really deserve their place. And then you have the people who feel very strongly that they do deserve their place, feeling like the people on welfare are hamstringing them from their success, at least whether it's marginally. But people think that is kind of what it is, and so then you have this class bartering. You know what I mean? Like you have or not bartering, bickering, these issues between the different classes of people. And what's interesting is that all of this, kind of stems from the post JFK era, and JFK obviously famously was killed. One of two that we've had that happen to. One of I think 7 that we've had that attempted on. And one of the big reasons why is because he was one of those guys who wanted to decentralize the Fed, and you hear about that type of stuff all the time, and that being a problem, and that causing issues with, whatever, right? And I'm not going to put my tinfoil hat on here, but, you know, immediately after that guy who gets killed and there's all this conspiracy around his death and why he was killed and who killed him, then these systems start to get implemented. And these systems implemented have a very tangible effect on our reality today. I mean, I would be softer on cities than Poppy is, but not much. I'm not leaving my car out on the street. You know what I mean? I paid for a garage when I lived there, even though I couldn't afford it. Like, I'm not, you know, out at night walking. I'm using DoorDash. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so like, while I may think that it's sometimes some of the crime gets like blown out of proportion, I mean, the reality is what it is. Chicago is what it is, you know, and it could be definitely better, but you can see where these problems stem. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I ever thought about it in terms of, you know, they can't have I knew about the not being able to have the man in the household, but I don't think I ever thought about it in terms of like, you know, how it basically, you know, you can get it, if you get a job, you're screwed instantly, you know, and I didn't think about it like that, but yeah, that's the truth.
And I wonder if there's like a way that we could even turn this around, or if it's too late.
Those are the questions, right? That's kind of the whole conundrum. I mean, I don't know, right? Like, I guess it's one of those things where I think that people are becoming more awakened to the idea that a lot of people who are making decisions for them don't really give a shit about them at all.
Right.
But the problem is that we have to then jump from there to finding people who do give a shit about what you believe in to make these decisions for you, because there is no reality in which we don't have some form of government that is able to make these decisions. It's just never going to happen. Or at least it's not going to happen without terrible things happening first and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not...
Yeah, and the job cuts aren't helping either.
No. I mean, you know, we're in a situation now where everything is so over politicized that Zoran and Trump met like yesterday or 2 days ago or whatever, and one of the biggest political things today, when I get on Twitter and I'm scrolling through the political stuff, it's like half the world is like, Trump bowed to the socialist, and then like the other half is like, the socialist likes Trump, and it's like, or
even the press that was in the office at the time were trying to like start a fight between. Like,
yeah, and it's like,
them two.
or he's the mayor of the city where the president has a bunch of business, and so being a businessman, they're making deals, and so him being the mayor of a city where the president has a bunch of business, he knows I got to be chill with the president to get my stuff done. Like, maybe these are working professionals. Like, do you like everyone at work? I sure hope not. You know what I mean? Like, then someone's not doing their job, because you should not like everyone at work. Like, it's annoying. Business is annoying, but...
Well, here, let me put it this way. Let's say that you have a business. All right, and so you pour $100,000 into the business. You expect that business to start to flourish, to get a little bit better. Now you may have your ups and downs, and maybe you have a downturn, and so you have to put some more money into it, or work a little bit harder, work a little bit longer. But eventually, hopefully, over time, the business gets better. So I think I was told in the beginning, when I first opened up my practice, try for 4 or 5 years. At the end of 4 or 5 years, if it doesn't work out, you get yourself a regular. You do something else, but it's just not working.
Right.
Okay, so you expect some kind of results within a reasonable period of time. We have been at this now for 50 years. We poured trillions of dollars into it, and have we gotten any better? Has the system gotten any better? Have people whether you're a Republican, whether you're a Democrat, the question is the system better? If you're the person paying, is the system better? If you're a person on the receiving end of it, are you any better off today than your parents were 50 years ago? You know, the system, for whatever reason, is not working.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know anybody that thinks that they're going to do better than their parents.
very few
And
people, yeah.
yeah, and that's a really big problem. And you know, shutting down the government for, you know, problems like this is not going to fix it either. It's going to hurt really bad. And we haven't felt the effects of that yet, but I'm sure in a few months we will.
Well, actually, just funny enough, someone was talking about MTG, and I thought Magic the Gathering, the card game, but they meant Marjorie Taylor Green. But actually, that UPS thing, we did have a small tangible effect. A friend of ours ordered a bunch of cards for a thing, and they came in super late. It was because that plane crashed, So that plane crashed. You would think, what does that have to do with the government shutdown? Well, the traffic control was one of the first things to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that it doesn't mean that there was plenty of people to work on that plane. I'm sure it doesn't mean there was plenty of people ready to fly. It's just a top-down issue. It trickles down into your everyday life, and it can seem like not a big deal, but who's to say that there's not kidneys on those things? Who's to say that there's not whatever? And that's just one instance of it being a problem, of course. But
Well, another thing which is happening, this the open border and so on. What we're doing, I find out that many of these folks that come over with these marginal qualifications, they eventually end up on the welfare rolls. So we're importing people to be on welfare as though we don't have enough already.
right.
So and so and what the problem is this is what, from my standpoint, is control. We are being subject to more and more control. I mean, even with this COVID situation, which is kind of the government, by providing benefits, continues to control you and to regulate what you can do. Who would have thought that the government would be able to tell you that you have to stand 6 feet apart from other people? Who would have thought that the government would be able to tell you that you had to wear a mask all the time? Who would have told you that if you don't do something, you're going to get fired from your job?
And then 5 or 6 months later, 7 months later, after it's no longer in vogue, tell you, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? There was no mandate. What do you mean? And it's like, right. But I mean, like, I have buddies on the NYPD that had to sit in a class action to get their fucking job back, to get their fucking pension back. So all I'm saying is, it's like, okay, sure, whatever. But like that, yeah, exactly that. And also, I mean, that's the way that the government works, is you cede a little bit of power during a time of duress, and then they never give it back. Income tax only exists because I believe it's World War II, but it could be World War One. I'm sure someone will correct me on that. But it only exists to fund a war. It only was a thing to, like, jumpstart the economy so that we could get ships and planes in the air, ships in the water, whatever.
Yeah, that
now
never
it's
went away.
now, yeah. Where's that?
Right.
And I mean, how long before mandating where I can stand because there's a virus that affects a, let's be honest, small amount of the population, relatively speaking. And I'm not saying it's not a thing that you got to worry about. You do, but if you can do it for that, and you can politicize that to be this, if you go outside without a mask on and you're unvaxxed, you're killing my grandparents. For it to be able to get that politicized is just telling. It's like, what do you think this is going to look like? I mean, this is I hate to have a tinfoil hat on, trust me, I do, but we inch closer to eating the bugs every day. And you probably know what I'm talking about when I say that, Colin. I don't know if you do, Pops, but basically there's an article from the WHO which is like, you will eat the bugs, or no, it's you will own nothing and you will be happy. And it's talking about what the future is, and everything will be like a subscription based rent economy and it's like,
Yeah. It's already starting.
It's like, dude, how obvious could it be? It's just a play for control. It's absolutely what you're saying. I mean, you keep people on welfare, most people are never going to get off welfare. They're never going to escape that event horizon, because how could they?
If you keep people scared, the people are going to give up a lot of freedoms. And
sure.
you saw that a lot after 9/11 as well. A lot of people, they were scared. We gave up a lot of freedoms there. After the World Wars, we gave up a lot of freedoms.
Oh, yeah. We love spending liberty for security.
Correct, yeah.
Yes, well, of course, I guess that there is there is also a tension between liberty and security. So you become frightened, you become afraid, so you want security. so you give up a certain amount of your liberty.
Right.
I mean, that's really what welfare is in many respects. You give up a lot of your liberty in order to be taken care of, and the message there is you're being taken care of because you're incapable of doing something on your own, and so you've got to be helped. And if you've got to be helped, that means that you can't be as good as somebody else.
Right.
And what that's saying is the people that are helping you say that's true. You're not as good as anybody else, and the people that are being helped are saying, I guess I'm not as good as anybody else because I got to be helped. And so it's just a vicious circle that, and it doesn't it doesn't help people. It hurts people. And it takes away it takes away initiative. It takes away wanting to do better. It just does, and it keeps you at a very low level.
Oh, this is why I really liked when he was a political candidate, Andrew Yang, if you remember him at all.
Yes.
But one of his biggest things he was running on, and I don't know that if it's pie in the sky or not, but just as an idea, I liked it, was the idea of the universal basic income. Not just because it's like, oh, everyone should make money to exist. No, I mean, I get how that can be a problem, and that does de-incentivize a certain level of achievement for sure. So it's a slippery slope. But if you had a universal basic income where, like, let's say every single person who's an American citizen gets granted $50,000 a year or something like that, right? And then, like, for someone who makes over that, you would basically get a tax credit for that basic, that whatever, and so that you're not getting it because you don't need it, but you're also not getting it. Like, you're not paying the taxes back to the government on that, right? And so, like, I think that something like that would maybe make it a little bit easier because it would at least, like, equal it out. It's not like, hey, you're on welfare. It's like, okay, this is your basic income. Like, this is what you get based on what your family size is, what your, whatever. And, like, I think that there's something to that. I don't know how that works. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not an economist at all. I have no idea. But, like, the idea of that, of destigmatizing it, and instead of making it like, this is your safety net, this is just the basics, I feel like you might get a little bit better of a outlook from the people who are on it. You know what I mean? As far as a cheat, like, if you get a job, and as long as you don't make $150,000 a year, you can still claim your free 50. It makes it a lot easier to have a normal life.
Yeah, this is what people like Elon Musk try to push towards for like a future. People think that AI is the answer to that, and that AI could replace the jobs that we don't want to do, and then everybody could focus on the jobs that they want to do, or like what's important to society. And then what that could implement is the AI is doing the jobs that nobody wants to do for 60 hours a week.
Like DMV.
That can that that can implement the like you said, like the $50,000 a year base salary just because you're existing.
Right.
That could be a future that we have, but that also depends if we take that path and if our elected people want to take that path as well.
Right.
Well, they've done studies, and they say some of the fastest growing people that have come from extreme poverty and doing very, very well are the Vietnamese. They come into this country. They say the Vietnamese, within one generation, make more than the average American, substantially more than the average American. And there's a reason. They didn't get any welfare. They were kind of desperate. They had to work. They had to work like crazy. And you could say the same thing with a number of these Asian countries.
Indian folks, Muslim folks, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Muslim folks came in post 9/11 when it could be possibly the worst time to be a Muslim in America, and they still have grown their share of wealth 300% from what it was pre 2001.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure the Muslims. I don't know if they stack up quite the same, particularly with Minnesota, and they have. I believe that there's a large number of these folks that are on welfare. I don't know if they stack up the same way. I like to think of the Cubans. If you take a look at the Cubans that come into the country, like people like Rubio, people like what's the fellow's name, the senator from Texas,
Cruz.
Yeah, Cruz. I mean, he's one generation. They've done quite well.
Right.
See? And so I would like everybody to do quite well. In other words, I don't want people to be on welfare. Not because I don't want to spend any money on welfare. I would like to see these folks do well, you know, rather than be. I'm sure there's a very high level of depression with these folks. You
Absolutely.
know, I don't know about you, but if you have a day where you're not going to do anything, you just don't feel like it. You got nothing to do. You're sitting in your home. You haven't made your bed. Your place is kind of crappy looking. You don't have the incentive to really kind of clean the place up. You don't feel good about yourself.
Oh yeah.
And so, if this is your life and you're kind of forced into it, uh, it's not good for you. It's not good for you. It's not good for the society. It's not good for anybody.
And it's only cyclical. It's only
Yeah.
cyclical. It's not. There is no, like, it's like a roundabout with no exits to get off on. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and the problem is, I feel like, well, there's many issues that like all kind of contribute to it. Of course, like anything, it's complex. But one of the biggest things for me is like I love music, especially hip hop. Hip hop's like my jam. I love that. That was the corniest thing I could have said. Anyways, but I love hip hop. It's
That's a
awesome.
sound bite right there.
Oh, for sure. I'm clicking mark clip right now. No, but that's I love the genre. I love the genre. I think that there's so many good artists. Like you can go to like a Talib Kweli or a Common or Nas or someone like that, and they talk about themes that exist within their previous life and maybe their current situation. But a lot of times it's from the lens of from this I became this and this is better and there was a way for me to be this without. Like J. Cole's another one. He always talks about there's not enough idols that aren't people who are rappers and basketball players for people who look like me. So how do we get people who look like me to believe that they can be something other than a rapper or a basketball player? And you have that. But then the flip side of it is other music that I also love, and I also think the artists are great, and these are people that I actually care about. But like then you take someone like a Chief Keef, right? And Chief Keef's awesome. He makes great music. He makes great music. It's awesome. But it
Yeah, but
also
he's not a role
perpetuates.
model.
No, and
Nope,
and he
tell you
was
that,
though.
too.
The problem is he was a role model. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Even to you could say, oh, a white kid from Chicago being a fan of Chief Keef and idolizing Chief Keef. Fair enough. But I mean, white kids in Ohio, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Arizona are putting on their Robbins jeans and wearing, a polo one size too small and, you know what I mean, whatever. Like, people were doing that stuff, you know what I mean, because of their idols and, or because he became an idol. And when someone like that has such power, it's unfortunate. Like, he, with his actions, moved out of that city, stopped doing the stupid stuff, started becoming more
Yeah.
like a gamer. And in his own life, he did better. But does that get translated to the fan base?
Yeah, no, people don't see that. They just see what he did when he was like 16, 17. And that's the thing with people coming over here to America, like foreigners, their home countries, they don't have the opportunity to, act out like that. It's work or it's nothing. Like Japan, they
Right.
work like what, 18 hours a day over there.
Oh, yeah.
So when they come to America, it's the same type of effort they put in, and they realize that we have a lot of opportunities more than what their home country has. That's why people come to America in the first place.
Yep.
But for a majority of the people that third generation, fourth generation, they don't see it. Maybe their parents don't see it. Their grandparents could have been good, well off, and then it somehow fell off between the parents. And then by the time it gets to the grandchildren just know, what they've seen and what their friends have seen and stuff like that. So they don't know the life outside of their box, and so
Right.
they don't know hard work like that.
Although I would tend to think that there is a big difference between a country like Japan and a country like China. Uh, there are not a lot of people from Japan trying to get over here. And when they do get over here, they have places like Toyota, Lexus. They have if you take a look at if you take a look at the Sony, Take a look at the greatest electrical stuff, uh, all the great innovations. They tend to be Japanese.
Hmm.
Japanese, and the Japanese, for the most part, they have the problems. They have different kind of problems than we have, because they tend to be they're extremely focused, and they work very hard, uh, uh, and they're very aggressive, and that's the culture. But I think for the most part, they tend to be satisfied. Um the only ones that don't seem to be too satisfied are the women. They're happy to get out of it, because I think it's a male dominated society.
Well, one thing about that though, that there is a large level of satisfaction, but there's also a large rate of suicide,
Yes,
very
Yeah.
large rate,
Oh,
and there
they're
is a
overworked.
negative birth rate.
Yeah.
yes, like us.
That's a
So
huge problem
they're
in
not
Japan.
replaced, right?
Yeah.
But
Yes,
they were the harbinger. They were the one that they were the first civilized country where that became a true, like, oh my god, like I think like 20 years ago it was like,
yes,
we
Like
are
you get
gonna
to a
not
point where
exist.
you get to a point where it's like too good, and then it gets really bad. Like,
But
you know.
it's because what they did was after the events of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they got an incredible amount of resources from America, obviously because
From
we did it.
America.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from us, and then they also, in turn, it's the weirdest thing, but just the same way that an American teen would idolize Japanese culture, the Japanese teens over there during that era very much idolized 50s American culture, greasers and like doo-wop and that type of
yes,
stuff, and so
yes,
that became their culture. And so then when we moved into that 80s and 90s like super business thing, they also mirrored that same cultural shift. The problem is they're 1,000 times more efficient than us, so we're basically seeing what it would look like if that 80s businessman, whatever, had their way, and that's how the American experiment went. It's gone a little differently for us because we're a little bit weirder people, but it is American, the problems that they're having.
Well, there's another, also Taiwan and Hong Kong. They were also extremely successful in the American type of program, and of course, the Chinese, seeing that, want to take over both of them.
Yeah.
So you have to be, and of course, they have they've ruined Hong Kong now.
Oh yeah.
They pretty much ruined it. And if you don't agree with what they say, they put you in jail.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when you go into jail, they I think we talked about this a little bit before. They have journalists that have been in jail for many years
Oh
because
yeah.
So you want to watch your step over there now. And but I guess the point being is, it seems we've seen, and this is my observation. It seems that we're moving in the opposite direction. We seem to be going in a direction a lot of these other countries, like the Latin America, where we are we want to take care of people, and we're kind of de-emphasizing the things that have made America so successful.
Right.
And all these other countries, they want to come to the United States because of what the United States has done in the past. Not so much in the future,
Right.
but what is and so anyway, it seems as though, and I guess what I'm saying about this welfare is it doesn't seem to be contracting. In many respects, it seems to be expanding.
Hmm.
And so, uh, isn't Mandami, isn't he actually an expansion of welfare?
Right.
We're going to give you everything.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
freezing rent
yeah,
and stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Don't worry about the rent. We'll take care of that for you. We have subsidized housing in the cities already, and so we're gonna expand that a little bit. And these food, we have the SNAP program. We're going to make that even better. We're going to give you these government facilities where you could get food for, you stand in line for a couple of hours, and maybe you get yourself a loaf of bread or something. But and that's basically what happens in these countries. and it seems as for some reason I just don't understand it, but it seems as though we're kind of moving in that direction, and I guess I think that's kind of the pernicious effect of welfare, and that's kind of the thing that kind of bothers me. Is not that welfare is contracting, but it seems as though people are looking at it. They're looking at a system when it's failed consistently for the last 50 years and say, "Well, this is the way to go." We need more of it, not less of it. And everything that has Henry Ford did not make it on welfare. Even a guy like Jobs or people like Gates, they didn't make it on welfare. They did exactly the opposite of welfare, and as a result, these guys eventually, or Musk, they are
Yeah.
going to
Right.
control things. They will control things, and because of welfare, we will be completely dependent on people other than ourselves because we will just be relying on somebody to give us something.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, I
that's
think
my
that
take.
that's kind of kind of the thing, right? Is that I feel like that's what the government needs. Is it needs that exchange. You need to be getting, drip feeding the customers, us, basically to kind of keep you going and keep you feeding into the system and everything. And I think what's really crazy and it's truly a topic for another day because there's so much to say about it. But this is now in Mexico. We're having the fourth Gen Z uprising, and not an uprising in the sense of what happened after George Floyd, or if you're on the left side of the aisle, what you think about January 6th, all that type of stuff, right? It's not like that. That's not an uprising. That's a protest or a tantrum, depending on how you feel about it. They're actually overthrowing their governments. It happened in. Oh, I'm going to feel like such an ignorant person. It happened in Nepal. That was one of the places it happened. It's happened two other places, I can't remember, but similar like economic makeups as like Nepal or Mexico. And now it's happening in Mexico. And the Gen Z overthrew the government in Nepal already. They are hosting new elections. They're hosting the election over Discord. Over
Yeah.
Discord. You know? Like that's how they elected their president was on Discord.
Wow.
And like
In Mexico?
no, in Nepal.
Oh,
And so it's like, but it's going to go the same way in Mexico. There's going to be this, intense fight from these people. And you have to ask yourself, with all of these expansions of, everyone's trying to be worried about their every little person that could potentially slip through the cracks in America. We're looking at all the people who like never had a chance to come and slip through the cracks in America, actually going out and deciding their countries are terrible and they need to make a difference. And there's very young people doing this, very young people coming to these conclusions. And so you have to ask yourself, if this keeps happening around the world, how long do we remain, A, as not having an uprising like that happening here, and B, how do we remain competitive when I'm a black or brown American teen and I'm going and looking at countries run by my peers and I'm like, holy crap, these are working just fine. How long do we remain competitive? And listen, we might be able to stand to lose some people, but we can't stand to lose too many young people. That's the one thing
yeah.
that we can't have happen here, you know?
And we tend to elect a lot of older people too, and we only had like one young president, right? And that was JFK. So
Yeah, Barack was
and he
kind of
got
young
cut
too,
short.
but
Yeah, I think Barack was like in his 50s, wasn't he?
I thought he was 38 when he got elected, right?
I think he's pretty young. Yeah.
Yeah, he was mad young. He aged mad fast, but at the beginning he was pretty young.
I think, but I think that that's taken care of because I think that the older people are older. They're gone. I think Trump is probably the last of them, and I think that the Congress is pretty much has younger people involved.
Collin's
But
right. Obama was 47 when he was elected.
47, yeah.
Good looking 47.
Oh yeah. Well. Oh
Yeah, I always thought he was young too, and then I think I looked it up one time, and I was pretty shocked.
yes. Well, I think that now I think we've solved it. I think the matters are going to get better. If people could only listen to us, if they'll get the message, I believe everything will get better. I would expect Not maybe tomorrow, but I do expect that there's going to be significant progress by at least Monday or Tuesday of next week.
Well, and all jokes aside, the reality of it is, if you're, especially, we're coming into Thanksgiving, we're coming into
Yes.
Christmas. You're going to be confronted, people who are listening or people, whatever, are going to be confronted with people that you disagree with at the Thanksgiving table and at the Christmas table. It's going to happen. You're going to be confronted with people you disagree with. Instead of disagreeing with them and shutting them down and believing that their way doesn't work, take 3 seconds, look at the world around you, realize that people 17 and 18, 19 years old just overthrew a government on one side of the world. And on this side of the world, the biggest talking point is that we found out there was a undercover blank ring going on in the Virgin Islands, and we know that people that are in our government are involved, and there's nothing we're going to do about it. And realize that we're straight up in a clown world reality to a degree, and calm the fuck down and hash it out. That's all. If you sit and you talk to someone you disagree, and you come out and you still disagree, that's fine. But something was made in the middle, These battles are won in the margins, especially when it's a battle of thought, You don't change someone's mind. Sometimes you just got to plant a seed. Yeah. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Well put.
So, with that, sir, I believe it's time for us to bid fond adieu. Mr. Pierogi, does Mr. Pierogi have anything to say to us?
Great job, guys.
He puts his thumb up.
That's our Jamie.
Yeah.
Can you Google that? Can you Google when Barack Obama, how old Barack Obama was when he was? I next week I'm in New York.
Funk. In New York.
I'll be in New York City, so I have my flight's early. I'll tell you what my flight is. Excuse me. I'll tell you what my flight is.
I'm not keeping you up, am I, sir?
No. I have to go to work. But I should be able to do it from New York, from my hotel room. So
okay,
I'll be able to go.
Yeah, we're reaching nationwide now.
I know.
Are you going to see any of your cousins while you're over there?
Well, I'm trying to, but we're seeing the Rockettes at 10 p.m. the day we come in, and then the next day we're going to a Broadway show. So I'm trying to figure out how to get out to their little
Radio City Music Hall, sir.
Yeah. Yep.
I said that as a kid.
I'd never seen anything from it, so I want to bail on it because I don't really care about dancing and show biz that much, but it's a like a bucket list thing. You know what I mean? You got to check out the Rockettes.
100 years, I think. Yeah.
Right.
The Rockettes. Yeah.
That's
so. See some of your friends over, some of your relatives at Staten Island. That's
ideally.
That's a conservative holdout in New York. You know that.
Oh, 100% it is.
Those are hardworking people down there.
Although if you nowadays, basically white men and black men and Latino men are kind of all pretty conservative if you look at the polls.
Yeah. I think that's right. Yeah.
It's come full circle.
All right, so I'll hold my breath for next week. Hopefully that you'll be able to come to us from New York.
I'll for sure be able to. It's just the timing.
You, Colbert, and a number of these other gentlemen. Good Morning America. I mean,
I'll do Man on the Street.
Yeah, you'll be Fox. Yeah. You'll be the Fox guy in the morning. Yeah, it'd be wonderful. So, having said that, I guess I should call it a day. And
well, thank you guys all for being available so early on a weekend.
It's all Tony's fault. It's not my fault. It's Tony's fault. It had nothing to do with me. The last week he was sick. He's sick as a dog, and this week he was taking care of business on Friday, so he couldn't do Friday.
Sometimes you got a TCB, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, TCB. Yeah, okay. Well, having said that, I guess that will do it, and so we'll say goodbye.
Yep. Bye. Subscribe, like, share, follow. Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. Probably something else I'm forgetting.
TikTok.
Oh yeah,
there it is.
And,
TikTok.
TikTok. Yes, I have to talk to Collin about that because I have hundreds of women. Hundreds of women. They it's my animal magnetism. They cannot stop themselves. They're showing all sorts of things that I not asked them to show me. You see, but and they're trying to entice me. You see,
They're
but
just gonna ask for the 3 digits on the back of your debit card.
Yeah.
yes, that's right, sir.
That's all they need.
Yeah, so hopefully we get a different caliber of some folks, and all right, so that's it. Finny, bye.